Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown Labs Draft Breakdown. Today, guys, I'm going to be looking at Abdul Carter, my number one edge ranked in this draft. I'm going to go ahead and do some film breakdown for all of you. I'm going to go through a scouting report. As always, love to do two different scouting reports just to see if there's any different perspectives that we can take away. And we'll be reviewing why I think Abdul Carter is one of the best edge defenders in the draft. And you can see on the right-hand screen here, I got a couple of pros, some cons, and some X factors as well for Mr. Carter. One of the big ones I want to point out before I start the film is my comp for Abdul Carter is Micah Parsons. Abdul Carter is a monster when it comes to rushing the passer, and I think that's what everybody is looking for in today's NFL. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this website, NFL Draft Buzz. I think they do a great job at breaking down their prospects. Carter's ranked number 7 on their list, and I want you guys to remember that not only is he ranked number 7 on their list, we have our own Touchdown Labs personal list, our top 15 big board here as well. So I took some time to work on this last week, and I wanted to rank the top 15 prospects, in my opinion, from Touchdown Labs. And you'll see I made a little graphic error here, and I accidentally put Banks twice instead of Pierce, but I'll fix that when I can. But in terms of the actual rankings here, guys, I want to talk about this real quick as well. So I'm ranking Travis Hunter is my best player on the board. I think everybody knows that unanimously in terms of prospects and not draft position or, position value. Travis Hunter is coming out to be likely one of the best prospects in the 2025 draft. Not only is Travis Hunter a corner, he's coming from a team where he's also playing wide receiver. So he's a dual threat. I don't think the NFL has seen a successful player like this at this rate where they're winning the Heisman Trophy playing two positions at the same time. So enough said about Travis, my number one player on the board. And this will change. This will change probably every week. I'll update this and make it larger, turn it into the top 20 players, 25, finally, who I have in the first round. And guys, we'll always try to do a mock. So what my goal is I'll end off every single podcast here with a mock draft. Quickly try to see what 32 teams are trying to do. Sometimes I'll do it at the end of the podcast, and sometimes I'll do a podcast dedicated on it just because it does take so much time. But we're going to leave this conversation here with Carter being my second best defensive player that I've ranked outside of Travis Hunter, because I have Mason Graham as a force. Mason Graham on the defensive line. He has a lot of twitch, a lot of burst. We'll do a video on him as well. But Abdul Carter, he is Micah Parsons' clone. And I mean it. Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter, those Penn State jerseys, they have no last names on the back. If you didn't know football and you showed someone that for the first time, they'd probably think they're the same player. And I follow Terrence Parsons on Twitter as well, Micah's brother. And shout out to King Capers. You're always supporting me, homie. But Terrence Parsons mentioned that they have the same trainer, and they're working on the same footwork drills. They're working on the same counters, the same jabs, all these different pass rush moves. So there's a reason that they are looking extremely similar to each other. Let's go ahead and read Abdul Carter's draft profile here. Now, his scouting report. 40 time is about 4.48 seconds. We'll see how he tests at the combine. Remember, these numbers can be skewed when you're looking at these prospect profiles, but he's in 81% of overall rating. His tackling's a little bit suspect. Pass rush 100%, run defense 82%. Average rating of the opposition's offensive player that he's faced. Sorry about that. He's facing the best left tackle every single time he steps on the field. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Player comparisons for him: Chop Robinson, Drake Jackson, Jared Verse. Jared Verse just came in to the NFL and is one of the most successful rookies to come in and fill Aaron Donald's shoes. Let's go ahead and look up Jared Verse real quick. Jared Verse's position here is linebacker for the Rams. Okay, and he's made the Pro Bowl in his first season. He was also first team All American, 2-time first team All ACC. So it's a really good comp to have. Standout two sport athlete. So Abdul Carter comes from a basketball background, and that's that's something to be said, right? When you're playing more than one sport and you're able to do that and be successful, he led his squad in MVP honors to to the PCL championship in a 9-2 record as a senior. Um, these aren't easy things to do. Carter's impact was immediate in Happy Valley. Only Penn State freshman to record 10 sacks and 10 plus tackles for loss and 6 plus sacks in a season. His freshman campaign, 56 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. It got him all American honors, all Big Ten recognition. His junior year, he got 17.5 sacks for a loss. 17.5 tackles for loss and 8 sacks and just 10 starts. So he's almost getting 1 sack per game, and he's a really dominant force in the run game. He's stopping these running backs at the line of scrimmage, even behind the line of scrimmage, and being that dominant force. 24 tackles for loss set a new benchmark, surpassing future stars like Myles Garrett and the Bosa brothers. Look at this company that he's in. Super athletic. Bruce Fieldman's freakless at number 43. Carter flashed spectacular talent as a true freshman, making 10.5 tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks, breaking up 4 passes. At 6'3", 250, Carter clocked in at a 4.4840, had a 4.35 shuttle and broad jump. He broad jumped 10.7, power cleaned 350. So not only is he fast, he's a beast, man. He's strong. First step explosion off the edge, which we're going to look at in the film. Natural bend and ankle flexation allows him to run the arc tight to the tackle's hip, showing advanced ability to reduce surface area while turning the corner. He brings the thunder as a tackler. Okay, look at these things that they're saying about him. Length and closing speed creates problems, even when initially blocked. Few weaknesses. Every player is going to come into the draft and have a weakness, and we can see that he's raw in his pass rush plan, but it's getting trained by Micah's trainer, so he's going to get better. His pad level rises when attacking upfield. Definitely something he can work on. Learning to set a proper edge against a run. Let's see if this shows up in the film. Usually they're all highlights, so it's his best players, but there is some film that I have versus Ohio State that we can look at as well. And tackling form breaks down in space. Something I'm going to point out as well, I see him rushing from the second level a ton. I don't know if they think that it's because his speed and they want to get him that extra step. So, he's coming at the defender with 3 or 4 steps already taken prior to him making his pass rush move. But it's something that I noticed, and it was something that I was thinking he might do better in a particular scheme. So with Abdul Carter, it might be one of those players that, yes, he's the best ranked edge rusher in the draft, but depending on the defensive coordinator he gets, his freedom, if he's allowed to play linebacker, edge, and some other positions, and also if he's in a 3-4 or 4-3 defense, I think he'll thrive in a 3-4 defense where he can be multiple. So let's see what that looks like at the next level. Projects to be an immediate impact pass rush specialist with sky-high upside as he continues developing his technical skills, his explosive athleticism, and natural ability to bend. The edge will translate day one. So, guys, what are we looking for in a top prospect in the draft? A day one starter. Smart defensive coordinators will deploy him primarily as a wide 9 technique early in his career, allowing him to maximize his burst while minimizing his current limitations in the run. So even before I mentioned that I noticed this on film, it comes up right here in the summary, right? I'm going to read this again. Smart defensive coordinators will deploy him primarily as a wide 9 technique early in his career. So let's do some research here. Wide 9 technique, what is that? Here's a simple picture we'll start with, right? They want to deploy him in this wide nine technique. For what reason? It is because it'll maximize his burst while minimizing his current limitations against the run. What guys, when you get a player that's at this level, you want them to succeed. You want a scheme for them to succeed. Yes, he might not be the best player against the run year one, but what do you do to make sure that he can get better? You let him be strong in the areas that he has strength in, and that is his pass rush, right? So team that drafts Carter will need patience as he continues to learn nuances of edge play. His ceiling is through the roof. His athletic profile, which we will see in the film, despite his position and experience, could develop into a game wrecking force off the edge. Let's get into the film here, guys. I think it's time. Now, while I pull this up, Abdul Carter's special. Let's just look at his highlights, and we'll start with that. I want to start with his highlights, and then I have some particular film that we can get into as well. But I'd like to just get myself ready to make sure that I can highlight a few things on the screen for the viewers. Now, this first play, right? Where is he? Number 11. Okay. Shout out to NFL film rooms for letting me use this content. They are fantastic at breaking down prospects. Without them, I don't think anybody would have the ability to break down these individuals and break them down at such a successful rate. So, like I said, he's starting in the second level here. He's going to rush. He's going to make a move to get to the passer. It's very similar looking to what Micah Parson does, right? How he's successful is he's relentless. He's getting sacks. He's changing plays. He's starting with some speed. He knows that he only has a running back to go here. He hits the running back so hard here, he sends him off his feet. You know what I mean? And not only does that not keep him off balance, but he's able to make sure that he can get the quarterback as well. Same game. He's having a field. He's fielding off on the offensive line there. And this is kind of that wide nine technique, right? Where it's like you make sure that he can utilize his burst to be able to make plays. And even here, where he's forced to chase around the offensive line to get to the running back, he can do that and still make a play. The running back gets 2 yards by the time Abdul Carter runs all the way around the offensive line to get to him. And that's the type of player he is. He can chase things down. If you leave him unblocked, he'll wreck the game. Even here in coverage, his athleticism allows him to get an interception. This is the type of player that you're drafting, a game changer, a game wrecker, someone with a lot of potential. But like the scouting report said, he's going to need a lot of patience. In the run game here, that could have been a big play, 20 yards plus, but he's able to stop that. His speed also gets his teammates open. That's something to mention as well. He's double teamed here and he's able to split the double team in order to tackle the running back. I don't think you guys understand how underrated this is, right? There's 2 guys slamming right into him. He's able to make his move and get his leverage in between both the guard and the center in order to still make a play on the running back. That is relentless effort, relentless motor. And you don't see that in every single prospect. Abdul Carter makes plays, guys, flat out. Like, he is that guy. And if he's not making the play on the team, what he's doing is he's setting it up for his teammate to make a play. Even in the playoff game that I watched over the last week, he was turned into a spy. He was on the edge. When he came off the field for that one drive, they had success running the ball. So teams that are edge dependent and they really need a playmaker, the NFL's next quote-unquote star edge rusher, Abdul Carter's that guy. He is definitely that guy. Now, outside of his highlights, we'll let this play for a little bit just to kind of see what he can do on his game-changing plays. I had some film versus Ohio State I wanted to look at as well. And in that film, I just kind of wanted to review his moves, specifically his pass rush moves, which are getting better and better. And you can see that in this highlight tape. Like, it's not only just him having relentless effort. Um, some of these pass rush moves are executed quite well. Here you can see his closing speed. He's able to run directly across the field and split the O line in order to get the running back. He's making sure that he doesn't miss. And it said he had a problem tackling in the open field, and there you can see it where he's kind of he has so much effort to make that play, but he misses the tackle. It's something he'll need to work on. But the fact that he gets there is what matters. Once he gets a little bit of size on him as well, guys, and he goes through an NFL program, like, trust me, he's going to gain some weight. He's going to get stronger. He'll be better in the run game. Needs a little bit of coaching too. Once he gets some NFL coaching underneath him, Abdul Carter will be that guy. I am convinced. Let's go to our other set of film here. And I'll just stop this. This is versus Ohio State, 2024, week 10. Okay. It's a few minutes long, and this film does a great job at actually pointing him out as well. But here, he is lined up on the edge, lined up on the left tackle, and just his speed, right? Like, he's able to, if he's not getting to the quarterback here, what he's doing is he's forcing this quarterback to throw this ball. And what happens? The ball's incomplete. He's rushed. That's what you want to see from your edge defender. If he's not making the play, something underrated that I want to talk about is what matters a lot is pressures, guys. Quarterback pressures. I think a lot of people like to look at sacks and they like to look at, big numbers, but what they're not looking at is how many times the quarterback's getting pressured and all of the bad throws that are coming out of it. And the fact that you're going to have to change your game plan to make sure you're chipping with a running back. You have your left tackles locked in. He's watching film on this guy all week in order for him to make the play. And even here, we're going to see him, right? And he's causing this pressure. Sure, the quarterback's going to make a great play. He's going to get the ball out of his hands on a 4th and 1, and they're going to go ahead and advance, right? But he is forcing a mistake to happen at some point in the game. Look how dangerous he is off the edge as well. Like, he counters this left tackle. Left tackle has no chance, but other than to possibly even hold him to make sure he can't get to the quarterback. Love the LeBron celebration here too. Jackson cannot kick out fast enough here in order to get to him. And if you can hear the commentator in this video, he's talking about the O-line chipping early, trying to help out as much as they can. And that play they do not. Again, quarterback pressure leads to the quarterback stepping up in the pocket, making a mistake. It's not always about the sacks, guys. It's about the presence, right? And the presence of an elite playmaker will lead to mistakes. The presence of somebody like Micah Parsons and being comped to that and him being on that side of the field, it will make quarterbacks see ghosts, okay? That's when you'll see Sam Darnold being like, yo, man, I'm seeing ghosts. It's because guys like this are coming at them. And that internal quarterback clock that they have in their brain, it's getting sped up and they can't get through their reads. That's the type of guy that I want to draft when I'm drafting my number 1 edge rusher. If you're not getting sacks, you're affecting the quarterback mentally. This is a real part of the game, guys, that I want you to think about. If Abdul Carter is out here in the first quarter and he has 2 sacks against you already, don't you think the coach is changing the game plan? Don't you think they're probably going to a quick passing game instead? They're trying to neutralize this edge rusher now and try to get him to stop being a playmaker. These are the type of things that happen when you have a player like this on your team. The film just makes me prove that he is worthy of a top 5 pick. I think he should definitely, any team that needs an edge rusher, he should be on their radar. Let's watch him go up against this left tackle here specifically as well. He engages, which I like, And not only does he engage, he sheds. Okay? And he's able to shed and make a play in the run game. Lots of teams are missing this. They get involved in blocks with the O line, whether it's a zone scheme and they're coming up and they're blocking you on the second level, or you're forced to just go at the guard himself, tackle themselves. When these smaller players, 250 pounds versus a 350-pound lineman, you guys are engaging. Lots of times, these players get locked up and they get washed out of the play. And they can't shed that block. And because they can't shed that block, they can't be a playmaker. Abdul Carter is going to go tough this out. And he's not getting pancaked or thrown on the floor. He's standing his own. And this is that wide nine that they talked about in the scouting report, right? Where he's all the way on the outside here. He's using his burst to make sure that this left tackle cannot step out fast enough in order for him to catch him so he can make a play. And whether or not Abdul Carter is getting the sack, guys, he is getting a quarterback pressure. He's setting this up for his teammates, and he's making sure that his defense gets off the field. This is just like, I'm a Cowboys fan. I see this with Micah Parsons every single week. You know what I mean? Like, you can't stop him at this point. If he's not going to get there, he's going to get a holding call, which is fantastic. His motor doesn't stop. And that counter move to get through both those blockers, he needs to work on that a little bit more. But you can tell he has a couple of moves in his toolbox. And he's not just going there and using his speed and athleticism. He's trying to work on a counter. He's trying to work on a swim. And Micah has these like funny basketball moves, like Euro steps that he uses. That is the stuff that you want to see, right? Like these other moves from these guys. So this was my film session on Abdul Carter. Hope you guys loved it. I got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I'm going to be going live with my brother Lou, and we're going to go over a mock. We're going to go over our coaching situation with the Cowboys. I'm going to be doing another film session this week as well. I'm going to work on Mason Graham, so that way I get 3 defensive players out of the way. Love starting with defense first. We'll get into the quarterbacks. We'll get into the running backs and the receivers as well, but definitely wanted to start with my first top 10 prospects. We'll get through those, and depending on how these film sessions go, you might see me redo the prospect list as well. Guys, like, subscribe, and please make sure you keep supporting. Thanks so much for watching the content. This is your Draft Doctor, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.